want you to keep in mind is this particular tool that you are going to see right now is not in your textbook. This is actually from a different textbook. But I think it's a really good visual to help you understand the human communication process. So let's look at this. You'll notice two yellow circles, and they represent culture. Now, when you think about culture, a generic definition for culture would be shared ideas, values, and beliefs held among a group of people who either live in the same region or area. You'll notice that this human communication process has two of those. Each culture circle is overlapped by a blue circle that's identified as the self. The self. You'll notice that little green section for the overlapping. Well, the green would be what makes you you based off of your culture. And it's interesting because even though we may know other people that are from our same culture, we are not identical clones of each other. We still have our own ideas. We have our own belief system. And then there may be some other things that we share with them. So just know that culture overlaps with your identity. Now, as the self, you are an initiator or an interpreter. It depends on if you are sending the message or receiving the message, if you are encoding the message or decoding the message. Now let's go a little bit further and you'll see a light blue circle. That's the actual message. Now, ultimately, we want to get shared meaning. That means I understand exactly what the person is encoding for me to decode. I understand exactly what it is. But sometimes we don't always get shared meaning. Sometimes, depending on the differences in cultures, we may decode a message that was encoded in a way that we had no idea what it meant, or we thought we knew what it meant, and we were off. Now let's go a little bit further, and you'll see kind of a peach orange color bar called the channel. The channel. We use different types of channels when we communicate. Some examples would be mass media, TV, radio, newspaper. Online tools could be a channel. Cell phones could be a channel. Text messaging could be a channel. And one channel that I'm very fond of would be letter writing. Face-to-face is also a channel. Now, depending on the message we want to share, that may be dependent on the type of channel we use. For example, some messages may not be conducive to certain channels. They may be a little ambiguous. You may get the wrong idea. Or maybe you want more of an intimate conversation. So you would choose a channel that would allow you to do that. Now let's go further. You should see a gray arrow that's pointing from one culture to the other culture. That represents feedback. I say something, you say something. You say something, I say something. Feedback could also be nonverbal. You do something, I say something. I say something, you do something. Whatever it is, it could be the feedback. Let's go further. You should see a thick, black, wavy line going through the entire communication process. That represents noise. Noise could come in many different forms. Noise could be internal, noise could be external, but noise would be anything that impairs or hampers the communication process. Now let's look at context. Context. Context would be whatever the situation is that you are communicating in. This, in essence, is the human communication process. It's something we do all the time. Now you just have vocabulary words attached to it.